Hey everybody, Redbeard the Great here. This is Razor Wire Feels. I'm encouraging you to like, subscribe, comment at all the social medias at Razor Wire Feels. You can email me at razorwirefeels@gmail.com. Again, like, subscribe, comment, do whatever. If you hate it, you can do that too. We welcome everything. So this is an episode of Razor Wire Feels. What's up everybody? My name is Redbeard the Great. Welcome y'all to Razor Wire Feels. Just a little podcast I'm putting together to try and tell a little bit about my story and about what it's like coming out of prison, doing hard time, and adapting to the world post-incarceration. So, tell a little bit about myself. My real name's Nicholas Lucido. I've been getting high since I was 13 years old. The longest sobriety time I've had since I was 13 years old was 6 months, and that was in 2015. I grew up in Cary, North Carolina, and a lot of people, when you tell them you grew up in Cary, they think, oh, you had money, but it's, that's not necessarily the case. My mom cut hair, my dad was a chef, and we didn't want for anything as kids. I had a pretty good childhood growing up. I thought I had it rough, and then you meet other people from different walks of life and realize getting yelled at or getting spanked with a paddle for stealing shit when you're a kid, that really wasn't that bad. My parents beggared themselves to make sure me and my brother had everything we ever wanted, and so I can't, I'm very grateful for that. And I kind of got into drugs. I remember when I was about 10, I never really fit in anywhere. I felt like a loner. A lot of my friends, even though I still have friends I've known my whole life, I always kind of felt different from everybody. And I remember when I was 10 years old going to my buddy's house, and we used to play guitar, and he was like, my dad can play Crazy Train on guitar by Ozzy, and I was like, what? No way. But I watched his dad play Crazy Train on an old 1960s Guild down in his basement, and I knew right then, I was like, I want to be a rock star. I want to play guitar. And that's and then I, dove headlong into the world of rock and roll, and then shortly thereafter heavy metal, and I loved it. It made me feel at home, because people, rockers and shit especially, they're a little bit different, and they were weird like me, and I thought it was cool as shit. And so we started playing guitar and everything, started bands in middle school, and I found out who Metallica was, and just kind of fell right onto that. And my heroes were all dead rock stars. Kurt Cobain, Jimi Hendrix, Jim Morrison, Randy Rhoads, it's just people that, they were living that rock star life. Nikki Sixx was Slash, all those guys were heroes to me, and that's what I wanted to be. And part of that rock and roll lifestyle is, sex, drugs, and rock and roll. And I got sex, drugs, and heavy metal tattooed around my wrist, because that was a creed that which I live by, and I really wanted to embrace that. So kind of when I was 13 in high school, people wanted, hey, you want to smoke some weed? Like, hell yeah, I want to smoke some weed. Ever since I did the DARE program in 5th grade, I wanted to get high, because I remember doing DARE, and you get the book, and it lists you every side effect of each drug, and at the top of the list for every single drug it said euphoria, and I was like, well, I want to fucking feel euphoric too, and so I knew at a young age that I was going to be a drug addict. I couldn't wait to try drugs, and that's I feel like that's a little bit different than what most people get out of the DARE program, but that's what I got, was like, oh, this might be kind of cool, if it could change the way you feel. I didn't understand why I wanted to feel that way, because I didn't feel normal in myself. And so get to high school, start smoking weed, start playing in bands, start going to local shows, and I wanted to just live that lifestyle to the fullest extent. So I was partying and going to shows, and started a band, really a pretty good local band called Viper from Raleigh. And when I was 15, and I started playing gigs in bars when I was 15, and we're drinking a lot. But the guys in the band, they didn't really smoke weed, but I was a huge pothead at the time. And soon thereafter, about the time I was 16, I'm doing ecstasy, tripping mushrooms, tripping acid, And then, you know, I met cocaine and fell headlong. You know, of course, you know, Eric Clapton, you know, if you want to get down, you got to mess around. Cocaine, you know, I've been listening to that song since I was a kid, and it just made sense. And, you know, so I'm doing all that, and started messing around with pills, OxyContin, oxycodones, you know, fentanyl patches, opiates. And I really liked opiates a lot. And they made me just feel kind of numb. And then again, you know, more rock star shit, Comfortably Numb, Pink Floyd, you know, and so I really got into that, and you know, I was living that lifestyle as a teenager. I felt like I was a teenage rock star. You know, even though we weren't famous or anything, like everybody knew that I was in Viper, I was in that band, and that was my identity. And so, you know, probably about the time I was 18, I did heroin for the first time, and I remember the first time I did it, I fell completely in love with it. I threw up all day and like fell asleep, but I knew immediately the first time I did it, I was like, this feels right. And it made me feel normal. Just like being in a metal band made me feel normal. It was, I didn't fit in anywhere else. And you go to, you join the heavy metal community, and it's like just a tribe from all different walks of life. People are there, and it was very inclusive because we were excluded from the rest of society. And people didn't understand it, and I liked that about it. I didn't want everyone to fucking like heavy metal. I still don't want everyone to like metal, because it would take away from the close-knit community of it, and the exclusivity, and you know, it's whatever. But so I got into heroin, and you know, that was immediately after the first day I tried it, I came back. And I didn't have a heroin dealer, but I knew a buddy of mine who sold heroin, and I didn't take a break. Some people try heroin and then they do it again a couple weeks later, and then, you know, on the weekends. And no, like the first time I did heroin, from the very first time, the very next day I went and got more, and I didn't stop. I loved it. I absolutely loved how it made me feel. Yeah, I used to throw up all the time, but you know, projectile vomit like the fucking Exorcist. But I absolutely loved it, and that just it was a downhill slope. And you know, I thought I was a fucking rock star. You know, Nikki Sixx was. I remember reading the Heroin Diaries when it came out when I was like 18, and Motley Crue's The Dirt, and it just made me want to be a fucking heroin addict. And I get that that's not the the intended result of that book, but I saw it and I was just like, for some reason I wanted that, and then, you know, a few years later I'm fully living it, and just bouncing around. I can't keep a job. I'm bouncing around, still playing with my band, but I'm getting really strung out on heroin, and they're starting to realize that I'm strung out on heroin. And you know, I go to rehab a couple times, just some detoxes, 28-day programs, and you know, I went to my first AA meeting when I was 18, and I never had a real problem with alcohol. I didn't like the taste of alcohol. I fucking hate beer. I got burnt out on it from playing in bars and doing the rock thing like everybody else is drinking. I'd rather sneak off and sniff some coke or go smoke a blunt and do that. And I never really liked drinking, because when I would drink, if I'm smoking weed and I go to sleep, you get the spins and you fucking end up throwing up, and it just wasn't my thing. So you know, they start realizing that I'm strung out. We start playing less and less, and I had a pretty good job. Ended up losing that job. I got pulled over on the way to go out of where I was a data cable technician. I was going to go out of town for work, and I got pulled over, and they found my needle and spoon. They tested the spoon, and it came up positive for heroin and cocaine, and the cop was like, you know, I'm going to charge you with both. And at that point, I had never actually injected cocaine. I had only shot heroin. And he was like, you know, he's telling me he's going to charge me with both. And I was like, you know, like, I was like, I swear to God, up and down. I was like, yeah, I shot some heroin out of that spoon, but I've never shot cocaine. And I remember the cop was like, well, some heroin dealers cut their heroin with cocaine. And I'm like, where the fuck did you learn that shit? That's called a speedball, and it costs more fucking money, you know? Like, and so where do they teach you that shit? In cop school, you know? But anyway, so they arrested me. I ended up losing my job, and at this point I had about a $300 a day heroin habit, and I was on Suboxone. You know, I'd do Suboxone during the week, and then I'd come home for the weekends, and because I was going out of town working, and then I'd shoot heroin all weekend, and you know, then go back out and do it all over again. I did this for about 2 years, and kept it pretty low key from everyone. You know, unfortunately, with heroin addiction, it's not a very socially acceptable addiction to just pull out a needle at at a party. You're just everyone sitting around drinking beer. You can't just pull out your spoon and your kit and start breaking down dope and cooking dope at the coffee table. That's not a thing you do. That's why you go to like a shooting gallery. You go to hang out at someone's house that has no fucking furniture and just a bunch of fucking spoons that got soot all over them, and you sit around on the floor and shoot dope and pass out. Because it's not a very socially acceptable drug. People are not into it, and because of that, you hide it from everybody. And then when you've been doing it for so long, you hide. You just become so, everyone's used to seeing you high, and they think that's the normal you. And then that one day when you can't get your dope, or your dope dealer gets locked up, or some shit goes wrong and you can't get right, and you're physically sick, and people are like, "What's wrong?" Then they start to think you're high or you're on something because you're not acting right. You can't do shit, and it's hard to tell people like, "No, this is me sober, like I've been high for years, and you guys are just seeing me now because I ain't got my shit together, because I'm sweating, I'm fucking shitting on myself, I'm puking, I can't work, I'm shaking, and it's just something you just get used to hiding from everybody, and there's a lot of shame in that addiction, and because of that, you end up, and you get excommunicated from your friends and family, and then you just go hang out with your dope friends, and you're fighting that battle together. You're battle buddies. You're in the trenches of addiction together, and it's a vicious cycle that you head down. But anyways, so I lose that job. I got a meat heroin habit, and I start hitting licks with a buddy of mine, and I grew up with. We start breaking into stores and stealing safes and lock boxes and anything that we could sell to get our hands on. And between December 2012 and January 2013, I can't even tell you honestly how many places we broke into. When I end up getting in a high-speed chase with the cops. We were leaving, hitting a lick, and there was an undercover cop watching us do this, and we ended up in this high-speed chase, a whole bunch of bullshit. I T-bone a cop car, and we get arrested that night and go to jail. And first it was like 7 felonies, a couple B&Es, a couple larceny after B&Es, and then it was, by the end of the time I ended up taking a plea. I took a plea for 58 burglary-related charges, breaking and entering, larceny after breaking and entering, larceny over $1,000, burglary tools, attempted B&E, all that shit. So I ended up going to prison for the first time. I'm 23 years old. Luckily, I got a very good deal. I got 18 months. I ended up doing 19 on it. And the first time I was in prison, I was in minimum and medium custody, and it was a fucking joke, and it was easy. It was too easy. I was getting high the whole time. It wasn't that serious, and I didn't take it seriously. And the day I got out of prison, I ended up getting high. Like I shot dope the night I got out of prison. Like when I got out of prison, I shot dope, and because I didn't fucking learn anything, and I was on an ankle monitor. I was on post release. I had 3 years hanging over my head. I had 5 years of probation, and I'm getting high immediately, and right off the rip, I'm shooting dope, and I'm coming out getting a job at a restaurant. I shot dope every day for 9 months. Every month I'd go to the probation office, and she'd ask me if I was going to pass my piss test, and I would say no. And she would say, well, thanks for your honesty. Like, you going to pass next month? I'd say yeah. And then I failed every drug test for 9 months, and at the end of the 9 months, she put me in drug court, and I failed 1 drug test, and they locked my ass up. So I had to get clean for that. And I started going to AA and everything, and getting into that program, and I was working steps, but the second step is came to believe that a power greater than yourself could restore your sanity, I could sit there and bullshit because I didn't really fucking believe in a higher power. I've always kind of had a problem with that. I always thought I was the peak of evolution, right? Like I was the most intelligent motherfucker in the universe, and I never really came to that. And I remember them telling me, oh, you should just believe in a doorknob, doorknob's a power greater than yourself. And I'm like, have you seen my criminal record? Like, a doorknob has never stopped me from shit. So I can't really believe that a doorknob is a power greater than myself. So I said, whatever, I'll just fake it till I make it. And really just white knuckling it. You know, I wasn't taking it seriously. I had about 6 months clean. And then, you know, I ended up relapsing. And they sent me to Dart Cherry, which is a 90-day prison rehab thing. It's all cognitive behavioral therapy, and it's a bullshit fucking program. I mean, it might work for some people, but it just didn't work for me. You know, a lot of programs I had been through at this time, you know, I'd done IOP, intensive outpatient, and just none of the shit worked for me because I wasn't ready for it to work. There's something you can't help somebody if they're not ready to help themselves, and I didn't, you know, realize that at the time. I still just was, you know, I'm better than everybody. I could keep getting away with doing this. I just got to find the right chemical cocktail that, you know, balances me out, and then I'll be able to live. And I, you know, went back did that 90 days. I got out. I was out about 45 days, and I nodded out driving right in front of a cop. And popped, you know, over on the curb. He ended up arresting me for, I didn't have anything but needles, and he arrested me for a misdemeanor paraphernalia because he was like, you need some help. And I was like, fuck you, like, I'm not gonna get help. You arrested me for a misdemeanor, you're gonna send me back to prison, you know? And he's like, well, you know, you've obviously been struggling with this, whatever. I go to prison. I lucked out. They gave me 90 days and terminated my whole probation sentence, so I didn't have to do the 5 years of probation. And so I get out, you know, and go right back shooting dope again. And ended up working in a restaurant. I worked my way up and got a really good opportunity to be a head chef of a barbecue startup in Cary. And I loved that. It was great. I got to write the menu. I ran the kitchen. I ran the smoker and did all, you know, it was great. I was in my element. I love cooking food just as much as I love playing guitar and doing anything with my hands, really. And it was great, but I'm working 80 hours a week, and to balance that, you know, I had been doing heroin my whole life, and then that year, with one of the guys I met at going to the 90-day program, I ended up getting into meth. And meth is fucking just absolutely ridiculous. You think you're arrogant before you do meth, like you see yourself on meth, like it's a fucking rocket ship, you know, straight into fucking space. But immediately after a few days, you're so fucking high up, and then you run out of gas, and it comes straight back down, and your behavior reflects that. I think it was Tommy Vex said it on an episode of Roll Call with Chappie. He said, you know, meth is a rocket ship straight to the ground, and it's true. It takes you up first, and then it comes right back down, and you crash. And so doing meth, because I'm working 80-hour weeks, so I'm doing meth all day. I'd be up 3-4 days, and then I do, you know, heroin too to balance out, because I get too spracked to where my eyes are shaking. I can't read my fucking phone. You know, just and I'm at this restaurant. I'm skin and bones. I'm 165 pounds. I look like a fucking skeleton. You know, I got track marks all over my arm to where I went to Walgreens to buy some concealer, and I remember going, and I was like, I don't know what the fuck I'm doing with makeup. I don't know what a fucking concealer is. So this lady was working there, and she was like, can I help you, sugar? I was like, yeah, I need some concealer. You know, she's like, what do you need to cover your tattoos? I was like, no, I need to cover my intravenous drug use marks so I could go to work. And it's like blew her away. Like, she's like, what? And she thought I was joking, and I'm like, then she looks and sees the bruises and the scarring on my arm, and like she was like, oh man, this motherfucker's serious. I was like, yeah, that's why I need concealer, so my boss doesn't see that I'm shooting dope, because he didn't want me to shoot dope. He was cool to do coke with and would want me to get fucking drunk all day, but that wasn't ever my thing. So, you know, I do it, instead of doing a bag of coke, I do 3 grams in a day, and you keep chasing. I could just do one little shot of meth, and I'm good for 48 hours. So it seemed more efficient and more logical to do meth, keep me going, and make me highly efficient, you know, and just super good at my job, and even though I really wasn't. And so I ended up, you know, just kind of blowing that whole fucking thing, and getting just too strung out to where I just couldn't do it. I couldn't stay it there, and I left, and ended up hitting some more licks because I was homeless. I didn't have anywhere to go. I was living out of my parents' garage in their apartment complex in the middle of the fucking summer, and no air conditioning, no bathroom, and they would just, they didn't trust me because I was so fucking spun out. They took my key, they wouldn't let me in the house unless they were there, because they knew that I would fucking steal shit, and, I did, and, I'm not fucking proud of it, but I'm just being completely honest here. And I, so I end up hitting licks, and I break into this fucking church, because, I never liked religion, and I still kind of have issues with organized religion. And I fucking broke into this church to, because I knew, hey, churches don't have alarms half the time. They got some food because I'm hungry, and more than likely on Sunday night they got collection money. So, and then lots of musical instruments, and I knew because I was a musician, I knew the value of those things, and so I did that. Ended up getting arrested. Me and my girl at the time, me being the fucking piece of shit that I am, I call my ex-girlfriend while I'm in the county and get her to bond me out, and she does, and I get bonded out. They come arrest me 2 days later, hit me with more charges. She bonds me out again. She's got to go out of town. She's like, can you stay at the house and not fuck shit up? Don't kill the cats. Like, but I was like, I got this, I'll be all right. As soon as she leaves town, I call some friends, they come over with some meth and some mushrooms, and, we trip balls, I fucking trash the house, because I'm a fucking piece of shit. And, so then I go on the run. I in the mornings coming around, I've turned all the furniture and shit upside down, and, picture frames and books on the bookshelf. I like to fuck with shit when I'm tripping, so it's just, I thought it looked cool, but it really is just being a fucking asshole. But, so I do that. I go on the run with some people, and I'm just staying at this tweak shack in Raleigh, and I'm, doing a lot of meth and shit like that, and, I'm hitting more licks, I'm breaking into more fucking churches and more businesses, and, doing all that, and, I'm on the run for, I'm out on bail during this whole time, and I'm doing all this shit, and it's, I was on some, like, I don't even care anymore. I really didn't. I wanted to fucking kill myself, but I didn't have the fucking courage to just do it, just put a gun in my mouth. I just didn't. I was a fucking coward, and, I was in a really bad spot, and, I'm staying at this tweak shack, I'm dope sick, I don't, people around me getting arrested. The girl I was staying with got arrested using one of the credit cards I stole, and, this other chick, bless her heart, she shows up, and she's like, what are you fucking doing with your life, man? And I'm like, I don't even know. Like, and I was planning to go fucking kill myself that day. I was gonna go jump off a bridge, and she just showed up in my life, and, she's like, you're coming with me, and she's escorting and everything like that, and, loves meth, and she sees I'm strung out on heroin. She wants me to get off heroin, and I didn't want to get off heroin. I wanted to keep doing heroin. She wanted me to do meth to get off the heroin, and she wasn't shooting heroin at the time, so we like butted heads a lot, and, I go on the road with her, leave the state, go down, go out and about, just doing our thing, and then we come back to North Carolina, and we've been arguing a lot, and I feel like she's gonna like ditch me and leave me out, and I was fucking just in a bad place mentally. I'm doing a lot of fucking ice, and you're already paranoid and shit like that, and I'm on the run, so in my mind, my life is forfeit at this point. I'm thinking that, if I get arrested, I'm gonna go away for the rest of my life. So I was just doing fucking dumb shit all the time, and we come down to fucking Wilmington. She's like, wait in the car. I don't fucking listen. I fucking, you can't give me a shot of meth and tell me to go wait in the car for an hour. Like, I gotta go, I fucking just run around, so I'm going around fucking breaking into shit. I steal her car. I go fucking buy some dope in the hood. I don't even know anybody down here. I just went down to an area I knew was rough and drove around till I saw somebody, and I said, hey, can I get a bag of heroin? Just with her money that I stole from her too. And, get back. She's fucking furious because I left with the car, and, she told me to wait in the car. I fucking didn't. I stole her car. I stole her money. we get in this big blowout fight. I think she's gonna fucking ditch me. And she's like, I'm going to the bathroom to take a shot. When I get out, we're gonna have a talk about where you're gonna go because I can't deal with this anymore. So I get fucking paranoid and I leave. She goes in the bathroom. I fucking grab her money. I grab some dope. I grab some fucking meth. I grab some needles and I grab her bank cards and I dip. I run out the fucking door. And I remember she opened the bathroom door as I'm leaving the hotel room and said, "Where are you going?" And I said, "To smoke a cigarette." And as soon as that door closed, I fucking hit the stairwell, and for some reason, I had been up about 5-6 days, and for some reason, I think in my mind that she called the police on me, and even though she wouldn't ever do that, but in my head, I'm, you know, paranoid. I have sleep deprived. Your brain is not working the same levels. So I'm fucking, as soon as I hit the parking lot, man, I feel the SWAT team is after me, right? The K9s, they got everything, and I'm fucking hauling ass through the woods, and I'm all night long, I'm hiding in fucking dumpsters, trying to climb up a tree, and there was a cat in there, fucking scared the shit out of me. I fell over a barbed wire fence, caught my pants on the barbed wire, ripped my fucking pants off, lost my shoes in a bramble swamp. I'm fucking running around in my fucking briefs and a damn flannel shirt. Still trying to break into shit. I got my underwear stuffed with fucking cash, bank cards, and fucking needles and dope, and I'm fucking running around breaking into shit, just doing dumb shit. By the end of the morning, by the time the sun came up, I had lost my shirt. You know, I'm standing there in my fucking underwear, and I'm like barefoot. I'm covered in blood and mud and dirt, and I look like a fucking skeleton, eyes sunk in the back of my head, and I fucking went, I found a towel and like a little kid's Under Armour shirt, and I can't even walk. I got my hands up like that, like I find some flip-flops on someone's back deck, and I was like, man, I fucked up, right? I gotta go apologize. So I go back to the hotel room, and in the hotel room, I go to the parking lot, and there's like 8 cop cars sitting there, and I was like, oh fuck, like, I just kind of keep it hot. I'm like, damn, fucking, she called the cops on me. Like, little did I know the hotel room was next to strip club, and somebody had got stabbed at the strip club that night. I found this out years later, but you know, she didn't actually call the cops. It was a coincidence, right? So I keep it hot, and you know, when I had ran out the room the night before, I had a fucking gun, a fucking BB gun, mind you. But it was one of those nice CO2 ones that, you know, that doesn't have the orange on the front. It's got the cartridge, and it's got some fucking weight. It's made out of metal. It looks like a real gun, and I had it for the sole purpose of robbing people, you know. It definitely wasn't going to save my fucking life in a gunfight, shooting fucking BBs against 9mm, but, you know, I carried it around just for the implication of violence. So I was like, fuck, you know, and I've been up for days, but I got all this money in my pocket, and I'm like, I need to go get some heroin, like, so. But in my mind, I'm like, I can't call the cab to the dope spot, to the hood, like, and just get dropped off. And I was like, it doesn't look right. Can't call an Uber because I fucking broke my phone in the middle of the night because I thought the police were chasing me. So I'm like, I gotta get some food. I go get a sandwich, and I get this bright idea in my head that I needed to carjack somebody. That was the logical thing for me to do. So I saw this people pull up to the mattress firm to open the store at 11 in the morning, and I walked in there with my bag that I had stashed in the woods with the gun in it, and you know, I said, hey, I need to buy a mattress. And they said, what kind? And you know, I reached in the bag and pulled the pistol out and set it on the table. You know, scared the shit out of them, and you know, I said, Glock 9, give me your keys, your wallets, your cell phones. They gave me everything, and I said, you got a back room? I said, yeah. I think they probably thought I was gonna fucking kill him or some shit, but I said, come on, you know what time it is, let's go. So I walk them back. I don't touch them. I walk them back to the back room. I'll walk them in there, and I say, all right, you wait 10 minutes, and then you come out and call the cops, okay? So, you know, I leave. I even said, have a nice day. I was trying to be the most polite robber ever. So I walk, you know, I run out the door. I get in the dude's car, and, you know, I take it to the other side of town. I ditch the car. I wipe off what I thought were all the fingerprints, but I didn't obviously wipe off all the fingerprints. And, you know, I go find some dope. First, I walk down Princess and find the little store, and the first person that pulls up in a hoopty, I'm like, hey, you got some dope? And, yeah, buy a couple bundles. I go well, I could go get some rigs at the CVS. I go buy a phone, and you know, this is all with her money. I even went to Kohl's and bought a whole new outfit and shit. I spent, you know, I think it started with like over $1,000 in the wad of cash, and like by the time, like, so I get the phone, I call her, she's like, what the fuck? I'm like, I'm sorry, babe, like, I need you to come get me. She comes, picks me up, you know, and I hand her back like a couple $100. You know, I started with like 1,000, and she's like, what the fuck? You know, I'm like, I don't remember what happened. And she's like, oh, you don't remember, but you're wearing a brand new fucking outfit? You're full of shit, you know, because that's the type of person I was. I was full of shit. And she takes me, you know, I'm like, we got to get the fuck out of town. She's like, what'd you do? I'm like, I can't tell you right now. You know, so we leave, we go back to Durham. 2 days later, she's asleep. She told me, you know, don't get on social media, don't call nobody. No one knows you're in the state. You know, you need to stay that way. And, you know, like a dumbass, I get on fucking Snapchat and like hit up one of my boys, like, oh, what's up? I need some dope. And, you know, he's like, I'll be there in like 45 minutes. Like, where are you staying at? I give him the hotel name. He's like, what room are you in? I give him the room number. Not even fucking thinking in my head that this motherfucker's gonna goddamn call the cops. And of course he did. And so like 45 minutes later, the marshals kick the fucking door, and you know, the full gear, everything, and you know, they arrest me, and man, I go to county, and I knew it was over then. So I remember in the cop car, somehow I'm cuffed with my hands behind my back, and some way I ended up getting the belt off of me and looping it around my neck, you know, trying to fucking hang myself in the back of the cop car. It didn't work because it was just stupid. And you know, so I ended up going to jail, and they put me in the turtle suit for 72 hours, and yeah, so, you know, fast forward a little bit, I ended up pleading out and getting 6 years for the kidnapping. They charged me with 2 first degrees. They dropped it down to, you know, 1 first degree, 1 robbery, larceny of a motor vehicle, firearm by felon. And then I had the breaking into House of Worships in Raleigh, and B&Es from House of Worship. I ended up, you know, getting 6 years. You know, so if I would have went to trial, I would have got 40. But you know, as soon as you know, I think they came at me with like 12 or 15 the first time, and I said nope, like, you know, give me 5, and they came back with 6, and I said, where's the fucking pen? Give me, because I knew I wasn't gonna get a better deal than that. So I signed it, took the deal. I go to prison, and I get to prison, and I was about to do 6 years, and I was fucking mad at myself, and I thought that was a fucking long time, you know, and I didn't think I was gonna make it. I really didn't. I thought I would fucking die in there, and I ended up getting involved with the fucking gang bullshit and the whole convict code. And so, like, as soon as I hit the yard, I start putting in work to establish a fucking reputation, and it's all fucking bullshit. It's all a house of cards. It's built on bullshit. The entire convict code is built by people with life sentences who want to drag you into their army of misery, you know. And it's a trap. It's to keep people in prison, but you get so indoctrinated in the bullshit that you think you're doing the right thing, and the more you fucking turn up, the more violent you are, the more of a piece of shit you are, the more respect you get. And it's completely the antithesis of actual society, right? And it's ridiculous. So anyways, so get involved in the gang shit, and I'm not a fucking gangbanger. Like, I'm not. I got real family. I don't need fake family. And, you know, I understand that for some people that's all they got, and I can respect that. But for some reason, I wanted to prove to myself that I could thump with these motherfuckers. And you know, I was built like that. I have something about it. It was like maybe a pride thing or whatever. Turns out I'm not fucking built like that. You know, I can't fight for shit. I you know, I don't fucking know. Like, it was probably one of the dumbest decisions in my life, but I've been making a lot of dumb decisions. And just all it is in prison, you're just gonna stay on the radar. You're gonna be in and out the hole for dumb shit. You know, fucking go to war with somebody one day. And, you know, you just might be chilling, just wanting to hang out, and then one of your fucking homeboys will go and do some fuck shit, or somebody else will try some shit. It's just prison shit. And you know, you just spend a lot of time in the hole. In the last 6 years I just did, I did 2 in the hole. You know, I did 1 year straight, and that was the hardest time of my fucking life. But you know, I was in a real bad place mentally. A really good friend of mine had died, and no one had told me about it, and I just talked to her a couple weeks before, got a letter from her, and I opened the newspaper and I see her obituary, and I fucking broke. And I was getting high the whole time, and you know, I'm shooting some boxing, I'm doing meth, I'm smoking K2, I'm smoking weed, I'm popping E-pills, and you know, and just doing all that. I'm still using and abusing, and I end up going the hole. They give me, you know, long term. They give me 6 months in the hole, and this is in May of 2019. And I'm about to get out, and in December I catch another write-up, and then I got to do another 6 months. So I end up doing a year straight behind that door, and do a year locked in a fucking bathroom, you know, and tell me how that fucking feels. I remember when COVID hit, I was back in the hole, and I had been in the hole 9 months already at that time, doing long term. Hadn't been outside, because anytime you go to leave, when they offer you rec, they take you out to the dog cages out back. But to deter you from the extra work the officers have to do of putting you in handcuffs, taking you out to the cage and everything, if you leave your cell, they throw everything in your cell on the floor. They take all your property, your pictures, your letters, your food, your hygiene, your mattress, the sheets. They just dump everything on the floor so that when you come back, you learn real quick not to leave your cell. And so I'm back in the hole. And I remember when they did the first 2-week shutdown of COVID, and I'm listening to these people on the radio whine and bitch about how they were going crazy from being locked in their apartments for 2 weeks with DoorDash and Netflix, and how they ran out of everything to fucking watch. And I'm listening, and I just wanted to scream at everybody like, how the fuck does it feel, America? I've been in the fucking bathroom for 9 fucking months, and you guys are bitching about 2 weeks, and you got food delivery and fucking Netflix? Like, I didn't have shit. I had a fucking radio and 2 books a week from the fucking library, like, and a pen and a paper. And that's when I started writing. And, you know, being back in the hole that long, that shit, it broke me like 3 times, man. And you just got to build yourself back up, because at the end of the day, when you're behind that door, you're in there by yourself. Ain't nobody fucking coming for you. The police don't give a fuck. They'll starve you to death, if, you know, and they don't give a shit about you. And you want to find out who your real friends are and who really cares about you, go to the hole for a year. You won't be able to get on the phone. That's when you know the people that still write, the people that still send you pictures and everything, the people that put money on your books. Those are the people that give a shit about you. And you know, I got into working out a lot, and I started writing a lot. I started writing these little letters and ending them with you know, razor wire feels. The name just hit me, and that's when I started writing a lot. And I couldn't journal because I felt like I was talking to myself. So I started writing letters to a bunch of people, just, you know, even not expecting to get a response on half of it, but it was more for me than it was for anybody else. It felt like I was having a conversation with somebody, even if it was a one-sided conversation for months at a time, you know. And so at the end of that, I got out in June of 20 to a totally different world. Everyone's wearing masks. I didn't want to fucking wear a mask. They made me wear a mask. I said, fuck you. Took me back to the hole. Come back out, you know, end up shipping out to a different camp. And I was on modified lockdown for about the remainder of the time. Modified lockdown is 23-1, so you're behind the door 23 hours a day. You get out for an hour to shower or get on the phone or whatever and shit like that. And so, you know, do that for most of the remainder of my bid until March of this year, get my medium custody, and then shortly thereafter get my minimum custody, and you get to open dorms. And I realized that I had spent the last 5 years by myself in a cell, and I no longer like being around people. People made me nervous. You know, just I would get annoyed at things people say, the noises they make in the middle of the fucking night, the snoring, the fucking farting. Like, I fucking hated it. And you know, but I needed that adjustment, I guess, to get, you know, to get used to being out in the free world, because it's being locked in a cell by yourself for 6 years doesn't do anything to help you as a person. You're by yourself. The only way you can help yourself is if you decide to do it. And I thought I had my shit together for a little bit, and then I get to minimum custody where there's no officers, there's no cameras, you can do whatever the fuck you want, pretty much. And I started getting high. I mean, I've been getting high, but I got real bad on fucking K2, and I've been strung out on heroin. I've been strung out on meth. I've been strung out on fucking Xanax. I mean, cocaine, crack, you name it, I've done it. I'm a chemical dumpster. I can just consume drugs till I'm either dead or get locked up. And so I'm smoking K2, and K2 is just people think, oh, it's spice, whatever. It's just you smoke it. No, you smoke it like weed, you trip out like acid, and you chase it like crack. And it is formulated to be extremely addicting, and it gets its hooks in you physically, and like some drugs I've never done before, and it was wild. And so towards the I'm super strung out and on K2, and it's about 3 weeks before I'm about to go home. I had nowhere to go. The prison told me that I was going to go to a transitional house. And I got accepted into this program where they pay for school, and because I was homeless, I would have to come back to the county where I caught my charge, which is New Hanover County in Wilmington. So I come back, 3 weeks before I get out, I'm fucking strung out, and I tell my buddy who had got out, was a real good dude. I'm texting him on the tablet, because we had tablets at this point, and he's like, "How you doing, man? I ain't heard from you." I'm like, "Man, to be completely honest, like, I'm not doing good, man. I'm fucking strung the fuck out. I'm about to come home in 3 weeks. I don't know what the fuck's gonna happen. I've been locked up since 2017. It is now 2023. A whole lot of shit has fucking changed in the last 6 years. I'm fucking nervous as hell, and I was afraid to admit that." And I remember him, I was like, "I owe a bunch of fucking money. I have no way to fucking pay it. Like, I don't know what the fuck I'm doing, man." And he's like, "Well, you can accept Christ into your life, and you don't have to live like this anymore." And I was like, "Does Christ have a fucking $300 check to pay my dope bill? If not, like, I'm not trying to fucking talk about this shit, man." And I've always been kind of off. I was not big into Christianity, and just not big on organized religion, period. And God had never been in my life before, and I used to hate it and make fun of people like that, and then I later, kind of by that time, I kind of was just like, live and let live. Like, hey, if that works for you, that's great. And honestly, I was always like kind of jealous that these people were like so happy and fucking joyous all the time, and could be just kind for fucking no reason to strangers. I just didn't get it. And he's like, "I'll pray for you." I'm like, "All right, whatever, man." So the next day, I'm sitting at the table in the day room, drawing, working on some tattoo artwork for somebody, and minding my own business. Captain comes in with his group of people, and they're doing a round, and he comes up to me. He says, "Oh, how you doing today?" And despite being strung out, I had bad anxiety about going home. I said, "I'm having a wonderful day," because at the end of the day, I had just done 6 years, and I was going home in 22 days. So I said, "I'm having a wonderful day." And the captain says, "Oh, you're having a wonderful day? Well, you just volunteered for a drug test." And so they took me to the captain's office, and they piss tested me, and I failed for fucking K2. And I've never failed. I've been smoking K2 my whole 6 years, and I never failed a fucking drug test for K2 before. And I failed that day. And usually at this camp, I've seen people go fail a drug test, and they just let them right back out. Like, they don't even go to the hole. They'll give you a write-up, and you go to DHO, the disciplinary hearing, like a week later, and then you go to the hole, or you get a suspended sentence, and you just kind of stay out of trouble. You don't end up having to do your time. But that day, they said cuff up. So they put me in handcuffs, and they walked me back in the cell, and that cell door slams behind you, and I was like just relieved at it. I was like, "Oh God, I fucking needed this shit," right? So I was like, "Fuck it, I'm gonna make the best out of this shit. I need to detox. I need to fucking get my mind right before I come home." So they have the tablets in the hole, but you can't watch movies or listen to music. You can only watch educational shit. And I would watch Roll Call with Chappie every day. That was my shit. I would watch all my favorite episodes. He's is a great great channel, very inspirational. And this guy, he had done some time, and he had been strung out, and he got his shit together, and he got out, and he's living sober and free. And it was like, I always never really thought that that was like possible for someone in my situation. I always thought I was just going to be dealing with this shit for the rest of my life. But, you know, I tried to just, even then, you know, when I'm watching these episodes in the whole, I'm like, you know, that's great. It's fucking inspiring. But it's like, I don't know if I can do this. You know, I still in the back of my mind, like, I'm going to struggle with this for the rest of my life. And I damn. So I ended up going to DHO a couple days later. And the guy's like, you know, if you plead guilty to the piss test, I'll give you 10 days and you go back to the yard. And he's like, how do you plead? I said, man, give me 30 days. And he didn't even catch me first. He's like, well, if you plead not. And he's like, wait, what? I was like, what'd you say? I was like, man, just give me 30 days. He's like, why do you want 30 days? It only carries 10. I was like, because I go home in 3 weeks. I am fucking strung the fuck out. Like, I am fucking nervous about going home. I had got nowhere to go. I need this time to get my mind right before I come home. So keep me in this fucking hole, you know. And he was like, all right, I'll give you 30 days. So he gives me 30 days. And I'm back there just reading, watching inspirational shit on the tablet, working out every day. And so the day before I get out of prison, because now I've been back in the hole about 3 weeks now. No one's talked to me. I haven't, my case manager comes up and he says, oh, the day before I come home, we don't have a place for you to go. I said, what the fuck are you talking about? He said, yeah, that transaction, someone fucked up the paperwork and, I don't know. And, that's just a bureaucratic way of saying I dropped the fucking ball. But so he's like, we don't have anywhere for you to go. Like, have you heard anything from Oxford House or wherever? I'm like, how the fuck am I supposed to hear anything? Like, you were my conduit. You were my lifeline to the outside world. I'm back in the fucking hole. I'm buried under the dungeon. And you come to me with this shit 24 hours before I get out? Like, get the fuck away from my goddamn door. I was fucking furious. So I'm like, yeah. So then my anxiety starts kicking in, and I'm usually not a very anxious person, but I'm sitting in my cell and it's starting to like really like hit me. And I'd done a lot of time behind the door, and being in the cell never felt claustrophobic. But that night, the walls were closing in on me, man. I felt the weight of the world like on my fucking chest, and I couldn't fucking breathe. And I started having panic attacks. My fingers are going numb. My vision's tunneling. I started throwing up. I'm throwing up, and I'm curled up in a fucking ball on the fucking concrete floor of my cell, crying, like, because I'm about to go home from prison the next day. And like, that shit fucked with me, man. Like, I was like, really? Like, you should be fucking excited. And I was excited, but I was so fucking nervous because I'd never really lived a fucking real adult life. I've never adulted, right? I've been fucking shooting dope since I was a teenager. I've been in and out of fucking institutions, fucking rehabs. I can't keep a fucking job. I can't pay my fucking rent. Just all this shit, and I just was like, damn, like, in prison everything's taken care of for you. You ain't gotta worry about food, you ain't gotta worry about housing, you ain't gotta worry about clothes, you ain't gotta worry about your fucking medication. You get your canteen brought, like, all that shit's fucking taken care of. And after doing that for 6 years, you become institutionalized, when dinner's late, you fucking, where's dinner? You're institutionalized by time. Time itself is an institution. And no matter, anybody could say they're not institutionalized, but everybody in fucking prison is, COs included, and we're all bound by the institution of time in and out of, prison. It doesn't matter. Out here, we're bound by it, and in there, but everything's taken care of. You don't have to worry about your basic necessities, and so all this shit is just fucking coming down, crashing on me, and I'm fucking curled up in the ball on the floor, trying to fucking breathe and shit like that, and I fucking did something I never honestly fucking done in my entire life. Because I didn't believe, I fucking prayed. I prayed, like, legitimately, fucking honestly. I've, like, fake prayed before, like, it just, like, but this was, like, I was fucked up, man. And I fucking just was like, man, I can't do this anymore. Like, I was, say, hey, universe, bro, like, whoever's out there, man, I don't know if you're fucking listening or whatever, if you're fucking real or if I'm just fucking talking to myself, but, like, I need your help, man. Like, I need a place. I got nowhere to go. I don't want to go back out and do this again. I don't want to fucking shoot dope anymore. I don't want to fucking come back to prison. This is not life. This is not living. It's surviving. And I couldn't, I just couldn't take it anymore, man. And I didn't even feel like this was like the bottom of my bottoms. I've been in way worse situations and didn't fucking pray, and I've been in worse situations and, did like, I don't know. I'm just not into foxhole prayers, even though this kind of seemed like one, but it's just, I was just being completely honest. Like, you know, I said, I can't fucking live like this anymore. I really fucking can't, man. And I kind of calmed down a little bit, and I fucking, you know, got my breathing down and started doing some like breathing exercises and shit to fucking get my mind right. And so I'm an hour away from Wilmington at this camp outside of Greenville, and I'm thinking that because I'm so close to Wilmington, that's where I'm gonna be released to, that my PO was gonna come pick me up in the van the next morning to be released in the morning. But at 12 o'clock that night, they came and told me I was shipping out, which means I had to go on the bus. And getting on the prison bus to leave means you got to drive all the way to the center of the state past Greensboro, and I'm all the way up by Greenville, so, and you got to stop at other prisons and pick up more people, and you're in shackles all the time. Double lock handcuffs chained to double lock ankle cuffs with about 1.5 foot of chain in between your feet. Tight, double locked, meaning you can't tighten it any farther, you can't open it any farther, it's stuck. And getting on the bus is an all day thing. So I knew that we were leaving at 4:30 in the morning. I knew that I wouldn't be in Wilmington till about 4:30, 5:30 at night. And so I was gonna spend my last day in prison, the day I'm supposed to be getting released in the morning. I'm gonna spend the next 12 hours in shackles getting diesel therapy driving across North Carolina. And I was miserably irritated about the whole thing. I really was. But after a while I started to settle down because I was getting out of prison that day, so whatever, it didn't really matter too much. So, you know, whatever, I'm just sitting there riding on the bus, and somewhere after about 6 hours, I went to go use the bathroom in the back of the bus, and I'm walking back to my seat, and these double locked handcuffs are over my pant leg above my ankle bone, and they're tight against my ankle. And you can't, you know, you gotta shuffle as you're walking because there's only about 1.5 foot of chain in between your legs. And I've been shuffling all day with them. And I'm walking back to my seat, and I take a step, and I realize that my step went too far, more than my chain would let me. And I look, and I hear it clink. And I look down, and I see the double locked handcuff that was just double locked over my pant leg above my ankle bone, that had been there for hours, is now lying next to my foot, still double locked. And I didn't know, I was like, what the fuck? I was absolutely flabbergasted. And the people that were sitting along the aisle near where this happened, they kind of jumped back from it, and they were like, whoa, what the fuck did you just do? And I'm like, man, I don't know what I did. And they were like, man, that's some white devil David Blaine shit. And I knew right then, I said, no, fuck, man. I said, no, I think it's some God shit. And I didn't even know what to say. I was just stuck. And one of the guys like, hey, do mine next. And, you know, I was like, I don't know what I just did. I had no idea. Like, right then and there, like, my entire concept of reality that I had had for the last 34 years was absolutely shattered in a single moment, because I had never believed in a higher power. I had toyed with the concept, but never actually truly believed in something like that. And I'm trying to explain this away in my head. I walked back to my seat, and I asked the guy sitting near me, I said, did you just see that? And he said, blessed be, brother, blessed be. And I'm like, what the fuck is happening? I just hadn't, like, it was just completely illogical. It was irrational. I'm trying to explain this with science in my head, and I couldn't do it. And I'm sitting there trying to beat the handcuff open on the steel walls of the bus and on the floor, and I'm trying to get this handcuff open, and this thing will not open. And there was no physical possible way it could have gotten down over my ankle bone or over my shoe, because my shoe was wider than my ankle. And I got a size 13 foot. There's no way that ankle cuff would have come around my shoe, and I would have noticed, I would have felt it. And I had it on for hours. This wasn't user error. This was something that I could not physically explain using logic. And so, you know, I'm thinking on this bus ride, and I'm trying to explain it, and like Sherlock Holmes came in my head. You know, when you eliminate the impossible, no matter how improbable, there lies your solution. So I came to two possible logical solutions to this. That A, I was the Flash, I had superpowers, I was able to now phase shift through matter. Or B, that there was a higher power. And so I tried to phase shift through the matter of the other handcuff, and it wouldn't go through. And so it came to the logical explanation, the only other explanation, the explanation that I feared the most, which was that there was a higher power. And this completely just, again, it like shattered my reality. Like my whole concept on everything just was falling apart. And I couldn't explain it any other way. If you had told me 12 hours before this happened this same story, I wouldn't have believed you. I would have said you're full of shit, because that's the type of person I was. I didn't believe in shit like that. And then it happened to me. And now I have no possible way to explain it. I have no other way. And then so I start thinking of all the shit that had happened to me in my life. Some crazy wild shit. Situations that were super sticky, where I would hear something in my head say, go left, don't go with that person, duck now, get out of here right now, something bad's about to happen. I'm looking back on my whole life and it's flashing back in my head, and I'm suddenly realizing that voice in my head, that voice of reason, your intuition, your gut instinct, that was the higher power speaking to me the whole fucking time. And my ego prevented me from seeing that, because it sounds like my voice in my head. That duck, go left, don't do that. That's my conscience, right? I called it my conscience, that is like, and I failed to reckon, because I thought that I was the peak of human evolution in the universe. I thought human beings we were the top of the food chain, everything like that. And nothing existed besides us, that we were an evolutionary accident, that consciousness was a serious fuck up on the part of the universe. And all this just came just like rushing over me, and I was just completely calmed down. I just knew right then and there that everything was going to be good. That even though I didn't have a place to stay, I felt like the universe suddenly had my back, because on the day I was being released from prison, somehow I was freed from chains on my right foot. And I've studied a lot of esoteric wisdom, and there's two types of paths for like spirituality. Let's say you got right hand path and left hand path. Right hand path is becoming one with the universe, becoming harmonious with the universe and doing the will of the universe. And that's commonly found in like Taoism, Buddhism, stuff like that. And then you have left hand path, energy manipulation, Luciferian magic, stuff like that, which left hand path is bending the universe to your will. So I'm sitting here on the bus, and I'm looking at my hands are still chained together. My left ankle is still chained, but my right foot is free. And I couldn't help but see that I was given one shot to walk the right path and do the right thing and bend my will and get rid of my ego to do what the universe wants for me to do. And if I kept following the left-hand path, if I kept doing what I wanted to do, that I was going to remain in chains for the rest of my life. And it just fell on me like a ton of bricks. I had no other explanation for it. And that's why I'm here telling this story. And I still didn't know where I was going to go, but I was getting out that day. And when I got to Wilmington, the PO picked me up and said, we found a bed for you at this wonderful program called Link in Wilmington. And everything just started lining up. It's, but I've been having this urge that I have to tell this story. That's every day, that voice in my head, that voice of reason, that intuition, what now I call God or the universe, that I used to not be able to call it God. I would say the universe, but really, now I'm comfortable with calling it God. And I understand that might push some people away because they're bogged down by the social construct of religion and how the name of God has been used over the years for, population control and just the manipulation of people, and it's been monetized and commercialized. But at the end of the day, your relationship with God, that's spirituality. That's an individual thing. People get bogged down in all the bullshit that gets associated with the name of God, and we've been fighting over the name of God for thousands and thousands of years, and probably will continue to fight for thousands of years over the same dumb shit. When really, at the end of the day, your relationship with your higher power, that's an individual thing. That's what spirituality. That's why I refer to myself as a spiritual person as opposed to a religious person, because I have problems with authority. I hate the fucking police. I hate being told what to do. I don't even like going to church because I don't like being preached to. you know, and there's a social construct in that. You're filling a role, a preacher's filling a role, but that's a whole different story. But I just, for the first time in my life, I feel like I have to tell this story. Like, this is my purpose. This is why I've survived all the shit I've survived. This is why I'm still here when many of my friends that I consider better people than me didn't make it this far. And I have a duty not only to myself, but for other people who have suffered through this disease of addiction, to tell this story, not just for me, but for those who didn't make it this far, so I can tell their story as well. And, you know, I got out of prison 22 days ago. I've been sober 42 days. You know, this is all new to me. This whole spirituality thing and relationship with God thing is new to me. But every day I'm just blessed and grateful to be alive. And for the first time since I was 13 years old, I do not have any desire or thought to ever use or pick up a drug again. And that's completely foreign to me. That's an alien concept, because ever since I was that young, I've always thought that I was better than everybody and I could get away with doing what I wanted to do, and I could get high, or I could combine these certain chemicals and it would work out some way. Or that, oh, if I just quit doing the heroin, then I can just smoke weed and drink and blah, 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 blah. But that's not reality. Drugs are an existential filter. It's not what your real thoughts are. It's not your real emotions. You're subduing that, and you're blocking what's really going on in your head. And what's going on in your head is like, it's not just you in there, you know. There's something greater going on, and we can tap into that. And I'm really becoming, you know, aware of this. I'm now acutely aware of it, because like I said, if you would have told me this story 23 days ago, I would have said you were full of shit. But I get out, everything just keeps lining up. I'm grateful to be alive. I'm grateful to be sober today. I'm truly blessed to be here and being given this opportunity to tell this story. So that's why I'm here, and that's my story. And I'm still taking it day by day. I can't sit here and say I've been sober for years and all that. It's a day by day thing. But today, I have no desire to use drugs. Today, I have a desire to tell this story to you. And, you know, if you like what you hear, come back next time. You know, comment, subscribe at RazorWireFeels on all the social media. Shoot me an email, razorwirefeels@gmail.com. You know, if hopefully this helps somebody. But you know, that's why I'm really doing this. Is hopefully someone hears what I have to say, and it helps them figure out who they really are. So this has been another episode of Razor Wire Feels. I'm your host, Redbeard the Great, ever reminding you to stay free, people. Peace out.